We, human beings, are always communicating. We are always non-verbally influencing each other, and we are always expressing our identity. But we are not consciously aware of it, and we underestimate its power entirely. This is a pity, because it has an intense impact on our behavior, decision-making, and well-being. It is an extremely powerful medium. So, if this is such a huge part of our daily lives, how come we know so little about this? When I'm talking about nonverbal behavior, I mean within face-to-face contact, leaving digital life out of the equation for now. If we take a closer look at nonverbal behavior, there are two big aspects that we constantly use: our body language and the way we dress. These two are inseparable and strengthen each other to their fullest potential. Why do we dress ourselves in the first place? Of course, it has this practical, obvious side. We want to be warm, comfortable, and we use it to protect ourselves. But next to that, it also has a communicative aspect. We communicate, for example, social status, group identification, and we use it to express our personalities. Dress is the most personal form of design, and by its values and natural position, also the most intimate. This is one of the few industries in the world that actually touches your skin and occupies your personal space. Every single one of you is consciously involved in this, because you made the decisions about buying an item in the first place, putting it on this morning, and wearing it the way you are doing right now. So, even if you think you don't care about the way you dress, you are still communicating an image of yourself to the world. I can imagine some of you might have someone in mind that they would like to say this to. So let me repeat that. Even if you think you don't care about the way you dress, you are still communicating an image of yourself to the world. This subject has been fascinating me for years. After I graduated about 5 years ago in a Master in Fashion Communication Design, I was able to focus on the way we behave and move within social context and the way we express ourselves through dressing. The pitiful thing is that our relation towards our dressing has dramatically changed over the past few decades. Due to the industrialization, it went from hand-tailored, custom-made, valuable items to cheap, disposable, and fast products. But this doesn't mean that the values that we just spoke about have changed. Only the narrative has shifted. And that makes me wonder, is it possible to reshape this relation by using a new approach within design? Only when clothes are being worn on the body, they communicate to their fullest extent by the way they are being worn. This is where body language comes into play. If your body language is not coherent with your verbal and visual message, it doesn't matter how strong your verbal message is, because you will not be perceived as believable. Knowing this, isn't it strange that designers are nowadays, most of the time, still designing on static mannequins and static postures? Why would we do that if we design for a human being for whom it is essential to communicate by movement? Fashion is known for reshaping the body in artificial forms. Think, for example, of shoulder pads, high heels, corsets, and suits. These can be used as a form of power dressing if used in the correct way. But what if we would focus on not reforming the body in unnatural positions, but also start rewarding natural behavior and movement? I am convinced it is essential we start from a human-centric perspective by integrating the knowledge of non-verbal behavior in the design process. By doing this, the end result becomes way more interactive and responsive. And by doing this, our clothes can literally become a second skin that fluently communicates and transforms with us. This makes it even more personal and intimate, and therefore can change our relation with what we wear. I believe the time of isolating ourselves as designers in our studios to come up with the next big thing is over. The collaboration of different fields within interdisciplinary projects are the future, because it is within these intersections where innovation takes place. Somehow, the mainstream fashion industry is pretty resistant and stayed behind in these developments. Combining wearables with, for example, social studies, psychology, new technologies, and material development can really elevate the industry to the next level. If we take a closer look at wearable technology, we see a lot of development within healthcare and sports. It is amazing to see what we are already capable of nowadays, and it forms a great base for further development. I believe it is important that we are not only focusing on the development of new sensors to detect and expose hidden body reactions, but also start enhancing something that is already visible, our body language. Our phones, we all have them, right? Are great examples of how quickly our relation towards technology has changed. It will only be a matter of time before our gadgets will start merging with our wearables. Imagine the possibilities. If our clothes would be able to adapt to the situations you encounter during the day. Not only within environment changes like temperature shifts or humidity, but also using your nonverbal behavior as a trigger to comfort or strengthen you when it senses the need for it. These are not just ideas that will be achievable in the far future. There are already various examples of this. I myself, for example, was involved in a collaboration project about 3 years ago with Eve Lubbers, the Technical University Eindhoven, and the Textile Museum. We developed a dress that is able to change color intensity due to the conductive threads and thermochromic ink we used. If the wearer stands in a relaxed, neutral position, the threads on top of the dress are dark red. But as soon as the wearer moves in the arms akimbo pose, which is pretty strong and powerful, the threads on top of the dress become a brighter red. And this color movement changes outwards, which makes the wearer stand out even more. This was a prototype to see what the possibilities and limits were at that time. But there are a lot of examples already on the market available for customers. The recent fast fashion movement is based on the desire of quick change in wardrobe. How amazing would it be if we would be able to change the color, textures, and patterns of our clothing without the need of constant new items, but rather changing the content? This can truly enhance the lifespan of the pieces we own. Like this watch, for example. It allows the wearer to customize its complete appearance due to the electronic paper that is integrated. This is also already on the market. Okay, I'm not proposing here that we are going to look like cyborgs within the next few decades. But I do believe there's this whole realm within intersections waiting to be explored. It is about time we start collaborating with each other. Seeing wearables as second skins, finally our clothes can become truly personal, intimate, and valuable. start designing from a human-centric and dynamic perspective will enhance human communication in the future. It is time that we start designing with our bodies instead of only on our bodies. Thank you.